Hello everyone, it's time for a long overdue update video. I've been a little silent in the non-streaming content lately, and that's because I just wanted to get Striker's New Game Plus video done, which took longer than expected because it was a lot of grinding. But I was also a bit hesitant to do this one because I'm less certain about my next main series than I usually am. I actually had a very lucky year in 2013 for the channel. Advance Wars Reboot Camp came out right after I was done with Persona 5, and then I ended up liking Fire Emblem Engage so much I was able to launch into an in-depth research playthrough of it in the same year it released. I replayed it so much in its first few months that I felt familiar enough to do that. And my next plan after Engage was always going to be Persona 5 Strikers. The next game that I am really passionate about a potential big researched walkthrough series on is Metaphor ReFantazio, and that's not coming out until October. So what have I got in the meantime? Firstly, I do want to work on some Persona 3 Reload party member bios and social link bios. I'll probably be doing compilation videos of all of them. And here's a prototype of what they might look like. Right now I'm unsure whether the skill backgrounds should be transparent or grey and black checkerboarded just like they are in the in-game menus. Tell me what you think. I'll probably wait until I've finished a full run of the game though, which I'm currently doing on stream. And I also need to research into when certain key accessories, such as Auto Rebellion, the Elemental Amps, and so on, become available, because those heavily impact character viability. In terms of actual playthroughs though, I feel like focusing on Atlas a lot this year, because it's a really big one for them. We've had P3 Reload, we're going to have SMT5 Vengeance, and the year will end with Metaphor. But I don't want to launch right into Arena or Persona Q2, because I feel like that might be too much Persona at once, especially Q2 or Persona 5 Tactica. I don't want to run out of Phantom Thieves games all in a row. It'll be nice to take a break and catch up with them later. So I do have a couple of ideas for Atlas games for my next major video series, and the one I'm leaning towards most is something I have promised a few times in older update videos. It's a game I really enjoy and would like to show off, and let's just say if you've watched my live streams, I've been dropping hints that I've been doing practice runs of it lately. Although it's not like me to do this, I'm not going to reveal the exact game, but some of you may have pieced together those hints already. It's not an extremely long game though, and it's possible something else might come out that interrupts it. I might want to do something with Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. I haven't covered a mainline SMT game on the channel yet, but I've expressed interest in Nocturne before, and SMT5 is an even better refinement of the press turn system that is way more accessible than Nocturne. I played the original Switch version, and it's honestly one of the greatest JRPGs I've ever played mechanically. And the fact that it had a not even bad, just flat out unfinished story didn't even bother me much. But the promise of a new version that fixes the story and adds a massive amount of quality of life and solves some of the few gameplay problems like the level scaling, this is shaping up to be a really hype game. My problem is how I cover it, as I want to treat it more like an in-depth walkthrough series than a blind run. The problem is, I'm fairly experienced with the original, but I know nothing about the new content. Therefore, things like new demons, the way personal skills impact things, it would be hard to give advice on those. There's also a new story route that I would be completely blind on and would not be prepared for any of the boss fights. I've talked with Discord friends and they've suggested making it a hybrid series, showing my knowledge of the original while reacting to the new stuff. Which is a bit like how I'm handling P3 Reload. Another idea I had was to do a multi-part in-depth walkthrough series of the canon of creation, but stream the canon of vengeance. My worries there are that could be an overload of SMT5 content, and that I doubt many people will be interested in the canon of creation, since its story is confirmed to be unchanged. But my main concern point with doing the Canon of Vengeance is mainline SMT often deals with real-life religious themes. And if and when these come up, I like to try and handle them as respectfully and tastefully as I can, which is a lot easier to do if you already know about them in advance. Also, my track record for liking mainline SMT endings is very bad, and if I commit myself to a blind playthrough of a game and then it turns out I don't like the ending, that might leave things on a sour note. But that game is coming out in under a month now, so we'll see what I've decided once it does. Now onto the subject of other planned playthroughs, Fire Emblem. After uploading that video about the Alfred glitch, I have noticed that, yeah, a lot of people on my channel are still hungry for Fire Emblem content. And that's good. I love the reception my Engage playthrough got, and I haven't abandoned the series. I've just noticed this was a very Atlas-heavy year, and there is a decent overlap between those in my channel who like the Persona content and those who like Fire Emblem. But for those not part of that crossover, I probably should have worked on some test runs for other Fire Emblem games in the background. The problem is I still have a life, and again, it's going to be a very Atlas-heavy year. The two Fire Emblem games that I am the most passionate about covering on the channel in the future are Genealogy of the Holy War, a complete redo with proper bios this time, and Fire Emblem The Binding Blade, a game that I used to hate but now think is actually good. But do you see the problem? Those games are the most rumored to be getting remakes, so I can't really start anything yet. It's possible that the June Nintendo Direct may confirm something, and if so, that might change my plans for later in the year. But for now, I'm gonna wait and make Thracia 776 the next Fire Emblem project. Some have asked me about Conquest. I brought this up in another update video. The main issue is Zoran. He's doing a playthrough of Conquest in basically the same style that I would, but he's way better at the game than I am. For Thracia, I would need to practice more and get to know the meta a bit. It's going to be interesting doing bios because growths don't really matter much in Thracia due to the existence of Crusader scrolls, with unit merits being more about things like skills, personal abilities, or personal weapons, unique utility that only they have. I also think its reputation for difficulty is unearned outside of a few outlier chapters, Reinhardt, and its story has received a lot of praise in recent years, with many fans saying Leaf is their favourite lord. On this note though, I also need to do a test playthrough. I've never played this game with an actually good translation patch. I also have technically never beaten Thracia. If you watch my Engage videos, you'll know that I got to chapter 24X and kind of rage quit and haven't touched the game since. That was, I think, over 10 years ago. So that I'll also need to remedy. The test playthrough will let me get footage to the alternate routes too. Thracia was actually the first Fire Emblem to have a route split, and, well, I have opinions on where that direction led, but let's not go into that here. The alternate route playthrough could give me a chance to show off some lesser seen characters too, like Ilios over Olwen and Syas over Ced. Don't expect that really soon, but it is something that I'll start researching towards. That's all I want to say about Let's Play plans for now, and I'm going to move on to streams, but first, a bridging topic between the two that is relevant. This is an elephant in the room that I haven't addressed in other update videos because it was too depressing at the time, but I think I can say it now. Anybody who's been in the Let's Play space lately probably knows that the YouTube algorithm doesn't favor them anymore. And many former informative style Let's Players have moved to video essays because that kind of content does better. Personally, I don't intend to do this, though I will still upload the occasional unused content video bio compilation, some one-offs that may be more algorithm friendly. I still enjoy the traditional multi-part Let's Play content, and especially with a certain someone going this year, people do need to keep it alive more than ever. But where the algorithm thing is relevant is that because Let's Plays are already an uphill struggle against it, doing a more niche game or one outside my main audience is a lot less justifiable now. I'm usually not one to let the algorithm get me down, but when a video of something that I personally really enjoy, it hurts because it's like YouTube itself is telling me, no, your opinion is not valid. This is a bad video and you should feel bad for making it. Look, I fully get why my audience that has mostly been built up on Fire Emblem and Persona would not be interested in a Sonic Frontiers highlights reel. I'm not trying to shame anyone for not watching it. I just wanted to give an idea of what it can feel like for a creator to be on the wrong end of the algorithm, because I actually suffered some pretty bad mental health about it in 2022. I'm a lot more comfortable about the way things stand now because I've decided on a compromise. For more niche games, particularly platformers, there are a lot of those that I really enjoy, but they're not really what I've built my channel's audience towards. I'll restrict those to streams rather than full-on multi-part playthroughs. I feel they work better this way anyway. And so, on a less downer note, streaming. I only started it this year, and I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. My first Persona 3 livestream went way better than I ever expected to. Interacting with a live chat is incredibly fun, and we've already had some moments of pure insanity. And my average chat size of 80 to 120 on bigger streams like Persona, and 40 to 60 on more niche streams, I feel is the perfect balance of having a decent number of people watching, but not so many that it's overwhelming and you can't read the chat at all. This is one area where I count myself lucky. I've noticed a lot of other older Let's Play channels that don't get as much views as they used to have mostly inactive comment sections. This has never been the case for me, and this community that I've built up has translated to, so far, a fairly healthy live chat. I want to do more streams in the future, but first, a disclaimer. As of recording this video, I am not in full-time employment, which gives me a lot more free time to stream. If this situation changes, I may have less time. And I can't really predict when and how it will. For now, here are some loose plans for games that I would like to stream sometime in the future. Probably when P3 Reload is done. Well, firstly, I do want to finish Sonic Frontiers to the end. For those who've played that game, that statement works on 2 levels, and I didn't mean it that way. I'm also planning on doing potentially one-off streams of more niche games for my channel that are coming out this year that I'd like to at least show my first impression of. Those being Paper Mario The Thousand Year Doors remake, which is probably going to happen this week, and Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is listed as coming out in fall, which could mean anywhere in September, October, or November. That's actually later than I thought. I really hope it's September, but we'll see. I'd also like to stream Xenoblade Chronicles 2 someday, as it's a game that is one of my favorites of all time that I haven't covered on the channel in any capacity, and it's also one that means a lot to me. Don't worry though, I won't be going all in on side quests. It'll be mostly main story focused. Earlier, I mentioned platformer series that I enjoy as examples of games I'd rather stream than Let's Play. Those include Crash Bandicoot 1, which I haven't covered on the channel yet, Crash Bandicoot 4, which I hope won't drive me too insane, maybe Ratchet & Clank, but most notably, Sly Cooper. The reason being, I've referenced this series a lot in my Persona 5 videos. I've actually gotten a lot of comments of people applauding all the Sly references in the P5 bios, and I'm sure that a lot of you here who have not played Sly are very curious about it now. It's a series I really like, and it's a lot more underrated in my opinion than Ratchet & Clank and Jak and Daxter, or even Crash and Spyro. Having fun gameplay, a good cartoony art style, and some very memorable characters. Unfortunately, the highest gen way to play those games was a PS3 HD collection, so they're not really accessible now. I may end up needing to emulate them. And last but definitely not least, I'm also wondering about doing Fire Emblem streams one day. This would be a great way to re-experience games that I've already done full playthroughs of on the channel in new ways. I'm wondering if a Radiant Dawn Iron Man would be a good idea, though I may have to find a patch that allows you to view enemy ranges on hard mode. It is my favourite game in the series, and I have enough experience that I feel fairly confident Iron Manning. I've also recently felt like playing Awakening again. It's kind of nostalgic for me now, it's over 10 years old, and honestly I think it's a better game than many people give it credit for. I'd also love an excuse to actually be able to use Sumiya this time. And maybe even Henry, who I left out of the old run. The question is what kind of playthrough, because I don't think Awakening is good for Iron Mans because it has ambush spawns. That and the sheer amount of investment you put into the children. But maybe Lunatic Plus? I'd never tried that before, so that could be maybe fun. And heck, I'd take any excuse to play Engage again, so an Engage Iron Man or Challenge run is also possible. I'm not making any promises here, but streaming Fire Emblem someday may be fun. Just be warned that if I was Iron Manning, I might have to ease up on crazy chat conversations because I need to concentrate. So that's about all I want to say about the future of the channel, both main videos and streams. I hope to see you soon with my next major project, possibly with SMT5 Vengeance later, with Metaphor, Q2, Tactica, and Thracia 776 one day, more fun streams, and maybe a massive change of plans with the June Nintendo Direct. We'll see. Until then, this is Big Clingy signing off.